Ah, the glories of custard tarts. They are quite irresistible, aren't they? One age-old rule applies, however, that they be good. This, I have learned, is much easier said than done. I used to rather like the nursery-style recipe culled from the pages of the Constance Spry cookery book, but the prime ministerial, clipped tones of that beatified writer seem to have haunted the recipe through the decades, until it became a slightly cowed and saddened version of a once promising wonder. It is a curious matter that some recipes, like some wines, do not mature and age well. The Portuguese pastel de nata are so wonderful that it is almost pointless trying to replicate, let alone better them. That never stopped me trying, although my failed attempts eventually did. Quite simply, they were never as good. Even Fabrico Proprio, the design of Portuguese semi-industrial confectionery, an extraordinary book I acquired on a visit to Layla's shop in London's East End, which has a nata adorning the cover, no less could not aid this cook in crossing the winning line. But on British soil, the custard tart taken to giddy heights by Fergus Henderson at St. John left every other at the starting post, staring after this champion so endowed with eggs and cream within a crust so dark that all other pretenders were left far behind. Sadly, a lunch at St. John is a very rare treat for a Soho cook. I do not get to scoff this almighty wonder often enough. I have a great fondness for it and sigh mightily when passing by on the way to Soho, though an occasional, much more portable, Madeira cake from their bakery calms the passions very well en route. Still, there are times only a custard tart will do. Particularly when pondering a treat on a blustery day, when one is feeling listless and the day without is of intemperate humor, stymieing thoughts of doing very much at all, then making a tray of custard tarts is rather a pleasing prospect. They may well serve as a pudding with much charm, as long as they are kept out of reach of outstretched arms. Or just a lovely afternoon treat. Care is required when rolling pastry, not so thick as to set the custard into bounciness, but not so thin as to be fragile, cracking and bursting its banks, weeping scented tears of custard while in the oven. Hardly a great shame, but a pity nonetheless. The custard, it is a delicious mixture of eggs, cream and sugar, say tout. And, as it is always the best and ever at hand, here is the recipe from Fergus Henderson's St. John cookbook. I love them best unadorned with just a sprinkling of nutmeg atop, but should a bowl of Bramley apple compote just happen to be at hand, then spoon it on with some cream. That recipe. A story for another day.